Welcome to Social Media Circuit. I'm your host, Jaclyn Stevenson, and this is our premiere episode coming to you from Open Square in Holyoke, Massachusetts. A little bit about what you're going to be hearing about on our show. We're going to be talking about social media and social networking in all its forms. It's constantly changing, constantly moving forward, so I'm sure we're going to have no shortage of things to talk about. And we also want to look at what people are doing in the business community as well as on an individual level to make themselves stand out, not only in their own community, but in the world at large, because it is one big community, especially in the social world. A little bit about me. I am the Public Relations Director and Social Media Director for Winstanley Partners in Lenox, Massachusetts in the Berkshires. And I'm also a writer and a blogger and have been for several years and have been working in the social media realm for I'd say about 4 or 5 years. Was an early adopter. A lot of journalists were and a lot of public relations folks were because it was a really great way to connect. And as soon as the words, "I believe in Twitter," escaped my lips, I was hooked and haven't looked back since. So the first social network that ever caught my eye was Flickr. I've been a photographer for a long time, and it was a great way to connect with other photographers, but also with other people that were interested in the same things that I was. They were taking pictures of the same types of places, or maybe interesting hikes that I wanted to go on, or craft projects that they were working on that I thought were interesting. So that was the first social network that I found myself in, and it was one of the first to actually catch on, especially in the US, even though it is a British company, or it was. And the thing that made Flickr different than any other photo site was the fact that we were making friends and communicating and sharing information, opinions about not just photos, but the subjects therein. And then it started to explode from there. From Flickr, I found Twitter through the blogging community that I was already a part of. And it's really just gone uphill from there as far as the amount of social engagement and networking that I do both in my professional career and in my personal life. And as I said before, now it is no looking back, and it's the best way for all of us to communicate, because not only is it word of mouth and conversation, just like you'd have a conversation on the street, but it's much quicker, and it uses technology and probably most importantly emerging and evolving technology to make our lives a little bit better. So one thing that makes social media scary for people that may not be used to it is that technological piece. It looks technical and it seems like it might be hard or it might be daunting to jump into. It's one thing though that everyone can take at their own pace, and it really is communication and word of mouth, just like you'd be talking to someone on the street, but we're using technology to help it run more smoothly and of course much more quickly. So one thing that I always tell people when they're looking at social media and social networking as something that's very foreign to them is this is not a lot of people sitting in dark rooms, sitting in their mom and dad's basements, on laptops and not communicating in the real world. It's actually very much a social and very human phenomenon that we're part of. It's not something that takes away. It's not something that takes away from the human connection, in my opinion, but actually augments it more than we've ever really seen before in any other kind of technological advance in communication. And I had an interesting experience a couple of weeks ago to really take that human, real-life piece and pull it out and really show it to you guys to prove that this is very much a social, real thing that you can get into and make your life better, make your business better, make your everyday communication with friends, family, colleagues, etc. that much better and more robust. Recently, I was working a conference, actually, as a blogger, live blogging at a conference that was actually focused on problem gambling in Boston. And I was finished with work pretty early and was able to meet up with a friend, Jeff Cutler, social media journalist, shout out, and go down to Cambridge and look at some of the social media and marketing software startups and what they're doing down in this area that has really been called Startup City now for a couple of years because of the amazing work that's being done. One thing that I got to do that is a great field trip for any social media enthusiast or someone that's trying to dip their foot in the water, and maybe you're in the Boston area, is go to HubSpot. It's actually in Cambridge, and on a Friday at 4 o'clock, if you're lucky, they will be taping HubSpot TV, which is now called Marketing Update, and you can sit in the audience and watch a live taping and even communicate with the hosts via your smartphone or your laptop by tweeting questions with the hashtag HubSpot TV. That's one thing that you can do to really get out there in the real world and see what's going on, learn a lot about what's going on in the social network and social media arenas, but also meet some great people and tie that human connection right in there. I have it on good authority. You can also get a really good margarita during a HubSpot TV taping, so that's just a little tip. If you're not quite ready to go to some kind of specific social media or social networking seminar or taping like that, if that's still a little daunting for you, but you want to kind of dip a toe in, use some of the social media, social network tools and apps that are out there for your phone and your laptop to maybe make your vacation or your summer a little bit different, especially in these hard economic times. A little fun goes a long way. There are lots of things that you can do, and one of the newest apps that I have come across recently is called Scavenger. It's actually spelled without any of the vowels in it, so just Scavenger without the A's and the E's. And it's very similar to Foursquare, which is the one that we're hearing a lot about that's very widely used. People checking into different places, gaining points and mayorships and badges, and sometimes even some actual discounts and prizes from different businesses. Scavenger works in a very similar way, but it takes that gaming level just a little bit further. So for instance, maybe you're sitting in a Mexican restaurant and you check in, you get a couple of points for that. If you say something, you get a couple of points for that. And if maybe you do some interesting challenge, like for instance, one of them is make a tinfoil origami crane out of the foil that was around your burrito, you get even more points. After you accrue enough points, the business has generally signed on with Scavenger to give you some sort of discount or prize. In some cases, it's a free burrito. In other cases, it's 20% off your whole order, or free dessert, something like that. So it takes fun, but it also gives you a little bit of a cost savings and a reward at the end. There are also some games in the works that are on a broader level through Scavenger. There will be a sort of virtual scavenger hunt, if you will, in major cities unrolling really soon for prizes that are nothing to sneeze at, everything from an engagement ring to a down payment on a home to a new car. So that's definitely something to check out. And Foursquare, of course, is the big one right now in app use for checking in and being location-based. It's very it's used a lot more for the checking in to find new places to go, I think, than Scavenger is. I think that the gaming is a little bit less so, but I have definitely personally seen people vie for mayorships in different places, and there are a lot of businesses that are doing some really fun, innovative things with that mayorship title that you can get on Foursquare when you check in enough places, or enough times at one place for that matter. There is one restaurant I'm aware of that actually has a trophy cup that every mayor gets to drink out of, and I've actually seen a mayor usurp another mayor, and that cup was taken away and given to the new person. So it goes a long way to show that, you know, sometimes the game is really just is fun. Having a reward, having a discount is fantastic, but at the same time, you know, playing, knowing where your friends are, connecting with them, seeing that 3 of your friends are at one restaurant and being able to jump in on them is a great, you know, it's a great moment, and it really takes those phone calls that we used to make so long ago, maybe 5-7 years ago when we were still making phone calls to find our friends. It takes the same idea of connecting with your friends, makes it quicker, makes it a little bit more innovative, makes it easier, and of course makes it a lot more fun. So we've talked a lot about the learning curve and where you want to jump in on social media. I'm a big believer that it is something you do need to jump into, but you can jump in carefully on the shallow end just as much as you can cannonball into the deep end. And we're going to be talking next with a couple of colleagues of mine, one very much in the social media realm, one maybe not so much, and see what their experiences have been, what their thoughts are on ease of use, time, and how it fits into their lives. Hi, welcome back to Social Media Circuit. I'm here today with Alfonso and Cori, the hosts of Strictly Businews on the Business channel. And they're joining me today because Al is very much in the social media and social networking realm every day, and Cori maybe not as much. Not so much, maybe a little bit more of a light user.
So it's kind of a compare and contrast sort of interview. So let me start with you, since you're right there with me. What are your thoughts on social media and social networking and how they factor into your life and your work?
I think the key word is social. I've met you because I've met you technically through Twitter.
Yep.
I've met half the hosts from the business channel from being social media. It's just, you know, it's not just going on the social sites and kind of using that in the day-to-day life where when you go to events, there's not that awkwardness. Hi, nice to meet you. You stare deeply in each other's eyes and have nothing to say. It's you strike the conversation beforehand, so you kind of just take it from online to in person. And I think that's the biggest thing with social media. And for businesses, it's more of a great way to kind of use it as PR and customer service and branding and, you know, word of mouth marketing. And there's just so much for personal and business use, like differences and similarities, but it's fun.
It's fun. And so conversely, the same question, you're not a hermit, Cori. You're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, I think, right? A little bit? Rarely.
The last post had to do with Snooki, that was enough.
And yet it's still a relevant post, so you're good. You're still in that sweet spot. So it's not that you're completely rejecting it, just not as heavy a user. How would you say that it fits into your life?
Actually, I've tried LinkedIn and I've tried Twitter. They just don't have a fit. I like Facebook because I like to Facebook stalk people using their pictures. And it's a way for me to keep in close contact with just the people, you know, that I talk to on a regular basis, my family and my close friends. But I haven't really made a lot of other contacts using social media. So I use social
Don't
media.
forget Match.com. You were on Match.com. That's a good
No, I was never.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, go on.
But I only use social media to keep in contact or to share photos or to share comments or other websites with the people I talk to on a regular basis.
Right. And I think there's two important things that you said. A, you tried other things to see if they were a fit or not, and they weren't, and that's fine. And also that Facebook is such a good fit. And I think for a lot of people now, because it is the Mac Daddy, it's the big one, it's this big phenomenon unto itself, that people are on Facebook and they're using that as sort of the hub of the wheel, and these folks are these other social networks. I mean, there are others of us that Twitter is sort of our home base, but it's still one of the smaller, and we're still on Facebook. I mean, I can't get away from Facebook if I wanted to.
Google Plus is, I'm really diving into that.
And
now.
Google Plus, yeah, Google Plus is the new rival that's coming down the pike. But I think a lot of people use Facebook in different ways. Some just want to use it to keep in touch with a close circle, like Cori said, and other people want to use it to continue to expand their circle. And it's all about your comfort level.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to social apps on your phone and things like that, are there any or games, are there any fun things that you guys like to use, or is that something you totally want to stay away from?
I like it. What was it? Words with Friends.
I play Words with Friends.
Oh, we gotta. Well, after
I
this we're gonna have to. It's on. It's like Scrabble, on the phone, but then you can also send messages and links. It's a really cool kind of a social game. Zynga makes it, I think.
Yep.
But you know, my home screen is all of my social apps. My Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare. And that's the one. Those are the ones I use the most. Along with the email and text, and I mean, that's what I use the most on my phone. I really don't do too many games besides Words with Friends. So.
Mm-hmm.
And I use none.
No.
Yeah, the only thing I've uploaded on my phone is like the Yahoo Messenger, and it was only to keep in contact with Chris, who's overseas. So, I mean, I just don't have that. I also don't think that my phone has the capability to, and we'll talk about that on our show, but I have a BlackBerry and I find it very slow. So, I think I would get more frustrated trying to use social media on my phone.
Right. That's, it's really important. It's all about the level, I mean, not just the level of comfort, but the level of technology that you're using. I have an iPhone 3G, and I know that there are apps that I can't download right now because they're only for the 4. So it's...
Well, the 5 is coming out.
And the 5 is coming out, which is why I don't have the 4 yet, because I'm just getting lost in the shuffle anyway.
Yeah.
But and there was my dance.
Yeah.
But as far as apps go on the phone, I brought it up because I think that's another piece of social networking and social media that you can use to any extent or any extreme. I've got all the same, social apps. I think that you do: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. But I also have a lot of third-party apps that I use to make some of those other services more fun, like photo, and just little photo, editing things that you can put and then upload to Flickr. And tuna fish is one that I've been using a lot lately. It's sort of, I've been calling it Foursquare for recluses because it's TV. That you check in with what you're watching, whether it's a movie or TV.
Kind of thing?
It is like Get Glue. Yep, it's very
Tuna
similar
fish.
to Get Glue.
It's kind of making me hungry.
It gives you badges for different things that you watch, and similar to Foursquare when you go out. And it's kind of it's kind
I
of
wonder if
interesting.
they, down the road, they might do like a scavenger thing where you get so many badges you might meet the celebrity that hosts that show.
Now, see, that would be something. That would really.
I just thought of a new app. Like, forgot that.
See, you heard it here first on
Yeah.
social media. Yeah, and even I had that moment where I was like, oh, I'm geeking out. I'm using the TV app, and all I do is watch TV. But at the same time, it wasn't that. I was watching Breaking Bad the other day, and I would put it on Tunerfish, and 3 other friends that are also on Tunerfish said, oh, me too, and know that they did watch the show. So now on all our other networks, Facebook and Twitter, we're connecting on a like-minded topic. It doesn't have to be necessarily a TV show, but however your entry point works, jump in.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that we proved that with both Cori and Alfonso. That they did jump in, and they have decided to stay at the end of the pool that they want to be in. You're kind of, you're
Swimming laps.
You're swimming laps. She's reading the Vogue at the end, the legs up.
I threw in a life vest a long time ago.
And all of this is fine. We're still all having fun in the pool. Thanks, guys, for coming. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Sorry. So thank you for joining us on our first episode of Social Media Circuit. I'm Jaclyn Stevenson. You can find me on Twitter at RiderJax or follow the show at Social Media Circuit. That's SOC Media Circuit. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.